Name: Martin Luther King. Birth year: 1929. Birth date: January 15, 1929. Birth state: Georgia. Birth city: Atlanta. Birth country: United States. Gender: male. Best known for Martin Luther King Jr. was a scholar and minister who led the civil rights movement. After his assassination, he was memorialized by Martin Luther King Jr. Day: Industries, civil rights, astrological sign, Capricorn. Schools: Boston University, Morehouse College, Crozer Theological Seminary. Interesting facts: Martin Luther King Jr. changed his name from Michael to Martin after his father adopted the name Martin in honor of the Protestant leader Martin Luther. Death year: 1968. Death date: April 4, 1968. Death state: Tennessee. Death city: Memphis. Death country: United States. Famous activists: Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a scholar and minister who led the civil rights movement. After his assassination, he was memorialized by Martin Luther King Jr. Day: 1929–1968. Who was Martin Luther King Jr.? Martin Luther King Jr. was a Baptist minister and civil rights activist who had a seismic impact on race relations in the United States, beginning in the mid-1950s. Among his many efforts, King headed the Southern Christian Leadership Conference (SCLC). Through his activism and inspirational speeches, he played a pivotal role in ending the legal segregation of African American citizens in the United States, as well as the creation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The King and Williams families had roots in rural Georgia. Martin Jr.'s grandfather, A.D. Williams, was a rural minister for years and then moved to Atlanta in 1893. He took over the small, struggling Ebenezer Baptist Church with around 13 members and made it into a forceful congregation. He married Jenny Celeste Parks and they had one child that survived, Alberta. Martin Sr. came from a family of sharecroppers in a poor farming community. He married Alberta in 1926 after an 8-year courtship. The newlyweds moved to A.D.'s home in Atlanta. Martin Sr. stepped in as pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church upon the death of his father-in-law in 1931. He too became a successful minister and adopted the name Martin Luther King Sr. in honor of the German Protestant religious leader Martin Luther. In due time, Michael Jr. would follow his father's lead and adopt the name himself. King had an older sister, Willie Christine, and a younger brother, Alfred Daniel Williams King. The King children grew up in a secure and loving environment. Martin Sr. was more the disciplinarian, while his wife's gentleness easily balanced out the father's strict hand. Though they undoubtedly tried, King's parents couldn't shield him completely from racism. Martin Sr. fought against racial prejudice, not just because his race suffered, but because he considered racism and segregation to be an affront to God's will. He strongly discouraged any sense of class superiority in his children, which left a lasting impression on Martin Jr. Growing up in Atlanta, Georgia, King entered public school at age 5. In May 1936 he was baptized, but the event made little impression on him. In May 1941, King was 12 years old when his grandmother, Jenny, died of a heart attack. The event was traumatic for King, more so because he was out watching a parade against his parents' wishes when she died. Distraught at the news, young King jumped from a second-story window at the family home, allegedly attempting suicide. King attended Booker T. Washington High School, where he was said to be a precocious student. He skipped both the 9th and 11th grades, and entered Morehouse College in Atlanta at age 15, in 1944. He was a popular student, especially with his female classmates, but an unmotivated student who floated through his first 2 years.